You guys are probably wondering why I've come back to Dustin when it's not even been a full year since my original Dustin video released. And you know what? You're right. Maybe I should be working on my finale video. Maybe I should be working on something new instead. But I had to come back to Dustin solely because I hate my original video. I should not have made that video. I was not in the right headspace at that time to be making FNF ranking videos. Every one of my explanations was explained so unbelievably poorly, and AdMac was taking up so much of the slack that it didn't feel like we were equal partners in that video. I felt like I was just trying to be lazy and he was trying to pick up everything that I was failing to do. So now, I want to come back to this OST by myself, review everything one last time, and hopefully have a much better analysis. Now, before we begin, there are a few rules that I need to make clear. For one, I'm not ranking everything that I did last time. I'm not ranking the 3 original songs. I'm not ranking Perseverance V2, Katie Morto V1, or Homicide V1. I am not ranking Blooming Flowers, or Fifth Duration, which I know I'm not saying that right either, but I don't care. I'm not ranking those 2 because those were cancelled. I'm not ranking Red Demon O because that's a cover, and finally, I am not ranking Thermal Shock Girlfriend Mix. Solely because that is for the most part a cover, and I do not want to talk about a cover of something I really like in the OST doesn't even really come close to it. Because it would be very boring to say the exact same shit over and over again, and I don't want to do that. Also, everything will be in its final hours version. Yes, only one thing clear. I think the final hours version of songs are for the most part on par with their original versions, except for 2 exclusives, which I will explain that later on if I decide to. I'll be going in order of the OST, from when it starts with Perseverance to end off with Vindication. Now, with that out of the way, let's begin, shall we?
Quiet, sons! Remember what we are here for. To keep watch for humans.
Like that one.
You know, when it comes down to Friday Night Dustin's OST, I feel like the song that a lot of people just don't really say a lot about is probably Perseverance. And you know what? I get that for a lot of people. But for me, Perseverance is, and always will be, just an incredible song. From the moment I heard that orchestral instrumental feeling at the start of the song, I knew back then it was going to be incredible. And even to this day and age, after so much time has passed, Perseverance Final Hours is still one of my favorite songs from the OST. Like, let's break this down one thing at a time. For one, Dusttail Sans' chromatic is absolutely incredible. Dusttail Sans is one of the best FNF chromatics of all time. I don't think it's my absolute favorite anymore, but I still think it's utilized genuinely perfectly in this song. It sounds like he doesn't fully recognize who this new person is, but he also can sense a similar danger coming off them that he's been knowing from Player for so long, and I feel like that's just incredible to hear. Boyfriend of the song is also utilized genuinely perfectly. He sounds like his old self, but with a slightly haunting tone under it, and I think that's utilized perfectly in fact he's been possessed by player. And the whole note section in the beginning sends chills down my spine with that Megalovania motif. It is just all so incredible. Then we get into the pixel section. The pixel section for me is just, oh my god. This is an incredible section. I adore the feeling of illusion that it gives out, because you have to remember, this isn't actually Pico that Boyfriend is seeing. It's actually Sans, but he thinks it's Pico because he's on the proper state of mind. And look, this section absolutely pops off in everything that it does. The melodies get more intense, which fits Pico a lot. The instrumental turns up in tempo, which again fits Pico a lot. Everything about this phase becomes a lot more tempo filled, and I really enjoy it for that because again it fits Pico perfectly. Before we jump out of the pixel section and get right back into Sans and Boyfriend with some more popping off melodies, because this song just can't have bad melodies in everything that it does. It doesn't really feel a ton Undertale-y vibe. I don't mind that at all because they all are utilized incredibly well. Visually, I feel like the wind is picking up a lot, and I think that fits incredibly well with the song. The melodies turn really fast-paced before they slow back down again into more of a chill, somber moment. It's usually the pacing of the song is a little bit wonky at times, but I guess the reason the song isn't ranking in first place anymore. It's slightly wonky pacing, but it's not horrible, and I can look past it. Where Stan declares he's not gonna let his boyfriend get away again, shoots Boyfriend, misses because he can't stop doing that, for his absolutely incredible pop-off with Sans and Boyfriend show up with Ghost Girlfriend just appear in the background holding a speaker, because apparently ghosts can just hold speakers now. With another Megalovania motif for the sections absolutely pops off somehow even more. Dear God, Perseverance is incredible. Infinite tier. Not even a question. I love everything about this song. It is all just beauty and perfection, and I'm never gonna stop loving this song, even though it isn't first anymore.
That's a human, right?
Yeah.
Alright, human. Just follow my lead. You'll get used to it in no time.
Morto has had a massive jump start on my personal preferences ever since that video dropped. From once ranking at about a middle ground B tier, it's now a quite reasonable S tier. Like, it's not like high S tier. I think it's more on the lower end of the spectrum. I do still really like Morto a lot. For one, I just gotta say it, every reference in the song is genuinely perfect. The bone trouser, the red Megalovania, everything about this song's references is just absolutely picture perfect and all click together perfectly. And I love it for that. Papyrus's chromatic is also very good. I do still prefer the old chromatic a tiny bit more, but I do still really like this chromatic. It's one of the more weaker instruments in the mod. It still sounds really good here. It sounds very goofy, but also very serious at the exact same time. And I love that. Both the melodies and the instrumental in the first half definitely have a bit of a humorous tone to them, but they do also feel pretty serious at the exact same time, which definitely fits Papyrus as a whole pretty much down to a T. Before he's shot in the head by a gaster blaster, and, well, wouldn't you know it, Dusty Boy is right back here, and oh boy, do I love this sand section. This is so much better than I gave it credit for last time. It still has the bouncy energy in the first half, but now with a more dark and ominous tone to it, and I think that just clicks perfectly for Sans. Boyfriend and Sandals have the perfect chemistry when they duet. You never feel like they're trying to overlap each other, now they're just working in perfect harmony, and I feel like that works just so unbelievably well, especially in this section right here. You know, that right there. It clicks so unbelievably well, and it's incredible. I love it. And Sam just sounds absolutely perfect in this song. And one of his weak performances, but still just absolutely perfect. He sounds pissed off, but also happy at the exact same time. Like he's sad to kill his own brother, but also happy for the experience that he got at the exact same time. Cutting boyfriend not throwing any more experience for the time being. Like seriously, I love Kenny Morto. It may not be perfect, only a middle ground S tier, but it just is still a song I love a great deal. I'm just gonna say it. If you're one of those people who think, oh, Cornered Final Hours build is like a D tier because it only changed the intro and I can't handle the intro being changed and the rest of the song is the exact same. Grow the hell up. It only changed the intro. That does not warrant a massive, like, 3-tier difference. It's just the goddamn intro. For me, I have both corners pretty much on the exact same tier, and they're actually quite close to each other. Although I do prefer the Final Hours build over the normal build, solely because I think this version fits Undyne a little bit more. I'll go into more detail why near the end, but for right now, I think it fits Undyne as a character more. And now time for a bunch of positives that Cornered has. To start off with, I love the instrumental. It's still the weakest section of the song for me, but I never really explained why, so I'm going to explain now. It takes more of a chill tone for quite a bit of the song, feeling like a cave, when you're exploring a cave for the first time. I think that works very well, but it's also intense in a lot of parts, and that also works nicely. Sans still sounds absolutely incredible. This is one of his best performances in the entire main week. He just sounds like he's just ready to end this once and for all. He thinks he can take out Undyne and he'll finally have enough XP to take out the human. I think that works very well. Speaking of Undyne, I really like her chromatic. It sounds so determined and fresh. She's ready to take on anything in her path. I think that works very well for Undyne chromatic. It's a bit weaker than it was in Bone Extravaganza, but still sounds genuinely amazing. Before the entire world blackens out, and all that remains is the phantom of a fallen foe. Phantom of Pyrus' chromatic is really good. Yeah, it's performance of the entire mod, but it still is utilized really good. I love the empty, hollow vibe that it gives out, and I think that works perfectly in this situation it's going for. But still has the same bouncy, cheery energy that Pyrus is known for, which I think is captured perfectly in this section. The melodies just become a lot more flowy, and so does the instrument. I feel like it's all been distorted out of the incorrect plane, and I think it's just, it is chilling, and while it's the weakest part of the entire song, it still is captivated perfectly before he fades away, leading us right back into Undyne and Sands. This section right here absolutely pops off. Thanks to Doge's lyrical cover, I've really grown this section a lot more. It's still really intense. It's just back and forth fighting between Sans' boyfriend and Undyne, before Sans' boyfriend's eye glows red and he slashes at Undyne, leaving a scar in her armor. I still question how a burnt pan and a microphone can do that to armor. That's the most weakest armor on the planet, or that's a strong-ass mic. But anyway, the melodies slow down, the instrumental slows down, the tone slows down. It feels the song is finally over. But no, Undyne's not quite done with us just yet. The tempo turns up to 11. Undyne turns into Undyne the Undying. Her voice gains a reverb. Boyfriend says the exact same, and Sans laughs because he knows this isn't gonna stop him at all. He's still gonna take out Undyne, get her experience, and stop Boyfriend once and for all. Before this section right here comes in, I gotta say, all three voices have such perfect chemistry, with Undyne easily taking the star of the show in this section. She just doesn't stop singing at all, and only letting Boyfriend and Sans jump in every now and then, never really letting all three of them go at the same time except for a few parts, before she is unfortunately cut down. And she's gone. And unfortunately it wasn't Sans who killed her, it was Boyfriend. That whole fight was for naught. But still, Sans is gonna fight in Undyne's honor. He's gonna take out the human before she fades away. God, I love Cornered. S tier. It's not quite incredible, but even so, I still really like this song. Before I move on to the favorite part and the next entry, I need to talk about something. About what I said earlier about how Cornered Final Hours fits better for Undyne's character than I think the original does. I still stand by that, but I think I should probably explain myself a little bit. So, I see a little bit of complaint out there sometimes, say that, oh, this doesn't fit Undyne, it's not a giant fight scene. But, you have to understand something. Undyne is the captain of the Royal Guard. She doesn't go charging in danger head first like a common soldier and just get herself killed. She's gonna take her time, analyze the threat, and then she's going to make a move. And that's what she does in the Final Hours version of Cornered. In the first 50 seconds, she takes the song slow, and then she does kick up the tempo when she's ready to fight. That fits Undyne's character better than what it did in the original, where it was only like a turn of her going kind of slow, and then it was going like Mach 10, and then the song never really reached that speed very much often. That is why I think this version of Cornered works better than the original when it comes down to understanding Undyne more at the beginning. But I think I've said enough on that. Let's move on to the next entry, shall we?
hot.
And the deeper we get, the hotter it's going to get.
How the mighty have fallen. Poor, poor Heatwave. From being a song that once could have been T-tier, it's now just... Well, I'll explain it to you later, but let's just know that this song is a massive, and I mean it's a massive drop-off. But there's still a few of the good things going for Heatwave. Like, for one, Boyfriend still sounds absolutely goddamn incredible. The reverb on his voice is just genuinely used perfectly in the song. It works in every melody that Boyfriend sings, and it is perfect throughout the entire song. Sans is a little weak in the song, not bad, but he only sings about half the song, and Question's performances are really, really bad, being all gritty and grainy-like, which I'll explain later. But for the most part, I think his chromatic is pretty good in the song. The instrumental definitely feels like you're in the Hotlands, which I think is nice, and so do the melodies a little bit. And, okay, I can't put this off anymore. Heatwave has such poor pacing. It starts off slow, then fast, then ridiculously fast, then fast, then ridiculously slow, then medium speed, then pause, then back to serverless. It can't stay at a proper pace throughout the entire song. It completely flips on its head so often, and it consists throughout the entire song. And as I stated earlier, I don't like the grainy sections of the song, because not only does the instrumental suck, but Boyfriend and Sans also sound like they're just so unbelievably deep and gritty. It just is not fun to listen to at all. It is so unbelievably boring. And you know what? I'm not even talking about issues, because the next issue just rose out of lava. I don't like Mettaton's voice anymore. I think it's fine enough. It kind of fits a robotic Manford way, but it's also really quiet, and it kind of gets overshadowed by Boyfriend in a lot of parts, which sucks because I think Sans singing will also be a nice exception. But oh wait, Sans doesn't sing in this part, and I don't understand why not. You could say, oh, maybe wasn't expecting Mettaton to show up. Dude, you think he knew at this point that Mettaton is gonna show up? This is a genocide referendum, lad. Sans has seen this. You know what? I'll give the second half a little bit of praise. I think the duets are pretty okay when I can make out Mettaton and Boyfriend at the exact same time. And the instrumental is really, really damn good in this section. It gets a lot more intense, feels like more of a stage man vibe, mixed in with the Hotlands I had earlier, which I think is really nice. But then we have to get right back into that stupid shooting section from I played that last time, and guess what? It's still an issue, because I don't like how the gunshot sounds, and I don't like how the instrumental sounds. It's a very long pause, back into the gritty section, which also sounds just absolutely downright atrocious. Like, instead of this, Heatwave is just so problem-filled that the pauses that it have can't save it from ranking in bottom 3 of the mod. In fact, the reason the song is getting a B tier is because of all those pauses, because if it had like one less positive or one more negative, this would be sitting in C tier. No questions asked. Like, I like Heatwave, I do, but it's just, it's so problem-filled, and people glaze the song way, way too much from what I've seen.
It's mine, Mo. I brought it from home.
I said, give me the truck.
Oh, you can't just take things from people because you're bigger.
I'm not taking it. You're giving it to me because we'll both be so much happier that way.
How touching.
Evulsion has maintained its crown once again. That's right, Perseverance was knocked off its first place spot by none other than its only ever competitor that's ever had. Evulsion still absolutely rocks to this day and age, and I get why people don't fully care for the song, but for me it's an absolute slapfest. For one, the instrumental. Still best instrumental in all of Friday Night Funkin', and no, I'm not gonna take that back. I love the haunting, chilling atmosphere that it gives out. Like, it is so unbelievably perfect. It has a chill factor, but also an intense factor that works perfectly. You think it wouldn't work in any other case, but it does in Evulsion's case. Sans also sounds incredible. You know, for a guy who looks like that, he looks like he's just ready to end this right here and now. Like, he's let a chance at Heatwave, but it was taken away from him. Now he's not playing any more games. He's gonna pop the hell off. And so does Boyfriend. Boyfriend's not the best one from the mod forefront, but he still is used perfectly in the song, pairing incredibly with everything. Mostly Sans, but also quite well with the instrumental. The slowdown section is quite nice. I think it's a bit of a random change up, but it's not too bad, and I definitely do vibe with it a lot. Because it feels like every action, every sin is finally weighing down on both Sans and Boyfriend. As the instrumental slowly starts revving up one more time, a familiar face shows up to remind both of them of the sins that they have befallen on them. The one that was always there from the very beginning. Phantom Papyrus. Oh my dear sweet god, these lyrics are still absolutely perfect. Like, seriously, if you know these lyrics, I get it. But they pair so well with Boyfriend Sans. They don't feel too loud, they don't feel too quiet, they blend in perfectly. Papyrus's voice is perfect. He's just speaking to Sans, telling him to do the right thing, not to go down his path, but Sans is ignoring him at this point. Not to say anything his brother says. Continue his own path. And where will that get him? Only nothing but more pain and suffering. As the Papyrus fades away, the button is pressed, and the end of the song comes into a close. God, I love Evulsion. It's still an infinite tear, and it's still a song that I adore to pieces.
Oh yeah, I wanted to ask you something. Have you ever heard of a talking flower? So you know all about it. The echo flower. They're all over the marsh. Say something to them, and they'll repeat it over and over. What about it?
Before we begin Broken Realities section, I have a little something I want to confess to you guys. So, a couple months back, when I was still in high school, I was in a speech group, and the song I chose for that was Broken Reality. And it was a lot of fun until one day a traumatic accident happened while I was doing it, and let's just say my hopes and dreams of ever being in speech again were shattered. It wasn't like a bad accident, no one was hurt or anything, like it just was a bit trauma-inducing for me. So for this entry, I'm going to be doing the section that I did for that speech group one last time. I'm also going to use the video that I used for it. It's just the Broken Reality version that looks different. It's still the same song, so don't worry about it. Anyway, let's begin, shall we? Broken Reality. This is still one of the most controversial songs in all of Friday Night Dustin, but I will admit that over time it hasn't become quite as controversial as it once was. But it definitely does still fall in the category of you either love this song or you hate it, but there is now a bit of a middle ground that I've realized. And while I still adore this song, I definitely am still not gonna lie and say that it doesn't have problems, but even with those problems, Broken Reality is just an amazing song, through and through. It starts off with an incredible flashback. I feel like Sam's trying to call up the boyfriend one last time, telling him to do the right thing, but his boyfriend just keeps attacking Sans. He was there's no point in holding anything back anymore. The gloves come off, his eyes glow red, and the song truly begins. Dear God, I love this intro phase of Broken Reality. The orchestral vibe that it gives out is genuinely perfect. I feel like every soul that has been murdered in the underground is calling out to both boyfriend and Sans, cheering for this fight to finally be over. Speaking of boyfriend, oh my God, his chromatic is used perfectly in this song. I love how it feels that echoes and stuff, feeling like this player and boyfriend have fully merged at this point. This is probably top 5 boyfriend uses of all time when it comes down to his bass chromatic, and Sans also sounds perfect. He is just done playing around. The backing from Papyrus is also just absolutely perfect. The melody of this first phase are also really, really good. They could definitely get a finale vibes. I feel like some people complain it's a little bit too generic, but I don't really mind it all that much. It has a proper amount of Undertale vibes and OG vibes, and I feel like it actually works incredibly well. And I love the backing from Phantom Papyrus. It's not very often, but when it happens damn near well. Although he's a little bit quiet, I do understand why, but he is utilized very well. Unfortunately, speaking of Phantom Papyrus, I still feel like his phase is a little bit weak. Although I have grown to his chromatic a lot more than I used to in the past, I do definitely like it quite a bit in the song, and it definitely fits the ghostly, bouncy tone this phase is going for. I also don't get why this phase is here fully. You could say, oh, it's to remind boyfriend that Papyrus was the first one he killed, but in that case, why not have Undyne and Metaton? What, were they not important enough? Like, it rubs me the wrong way a little bit. Like, this phase, definitely on its own, is good. It has good melodies, and it's a good instrumental. Everything works in the phase that works for Phantom Papyrus. But at the same time, I don't fully feel like it works for a song like Broken Reality. A song that for the most part is its orchestral finale vibe, and I kind of get why this phase is there. But if you get why a phase is there, doesn't mean I necessarily have to like that phase per hand. Although I will give this phase some credit. After the and the flashback scene we see back to Kinimorto, this section is really good. I love how Papyrus' voice switches from one ear to the other. That is a really, really cool way to do a song. Like, you have to give props out to that. Unfortunately, it's short-lived because right afterwards, we're actually back to a really rough performance in his chromatic. Sounds like he's underwater, and I do not like how that sounds much at all. I don't really care for underwater chromatics, and this is a pretty use of it. Like, it works fine enough, but I definitely don't like it, per se. But we jump right back into Phase 3, and oh my dear god, Phase 3 kicks right back into Sans. Although, to be honest, I think transition from this phase could have been a little bit better, and maybe the first few melodies of Phase 3 could have been stronger. They definitely feel like they're the weakest of the entire song when it comes down to Sans' phase as a whole. But after the first two tones are done, the song really starts pumping right back up to the intense energy that was back in the first phase, and I really like that, especially when Sans and Boyfriend start duetting. These two sound genuinely perfect enough, where they're just fighting over one thing. We're going to see a flashback back to Perseverance. I feel like Sans is trying to call out to Boyfriend one last time, tell him to do the right thing, but unfortunately for Sans, Boyfriend can't hear him anymore. Now fully consumed by his lust for genocide, his determination from Player, and the chains that have been locked from him from Player. He's lost all of his senses as we fade to black and we see the state that Boyfriend is truly in. A prisoner in his own mind, holding the real knife as a look of fear, shame, and guilt wash over his face. He knows what he's done. He knows that he's caused all these murders. And for what? Some sick force doesn't ever stop? He doesn't know when or even if he'll ever be let free, but even with all that, there's still someone calling out to him, someone reminding him not to give up, the one that he lost all the way back in the beginning. Phantom Girlfriend. Her chromatic is incredible, something right out of an opera. And her and Boyfriend sync up so well, as they're just trying to call out to each other one last time. And as the Megalovania motif plays out, and she fades away, it is time for judgment to rain down. Will peace finally be restored to the underground, letting everyone live happily ever after? Or will its days be littered with nothing but dust and genocide as the flashback section comes in, meaning Pico, losing girlfriend, falling to the underground, meaning Sans, Papyrus, Undyne, Metaton, the DT extraction machine, Flowey, everyone's realization comes crashing down you. You're the one in the wrong. You possessed Boyfriend. You caused all this drama, and you caused Sans girls to defend. All because you couldn't stop. You're the bad guy in the story, not Sans. And the final melody comes crashing down you, and Sans and Phantom Papyrus are all cheering for Boyfriend, trying to tell him to break free from Player's chains. And you don't know what's gonna happen. Will it be a genocide ending or a pacifist ending? That's all up to you. God, I love Broken Reality. It may not be perfect, it may not be incredible, but it's a damn high S tier, and I love it all the same.
Green sleeves and khakis. Man, it's not 1999 anymore. Get some new fucking clothes.
When you hear that instrumental build up in the uprising, you just know that this is going to be an incredible song throughout the entire runtime, and that's what the uprising is to me. This has finally reached top 5 of the mod, kicking YOLO out of its 5th place spot and easily securing itself as 5th place, and I don't really think that's ever gonna go away, because oh my dear sweet god, this song is incredible in every aspect it does. For one, I love how Tankman sounds in this song. He sounds absolutely pissed off at Boyfriend, and for a good reason. Boyfriend's ex has been murdering everyone. His own army is dead, and it's just playing on their ghostly instruments, which, how can ghosts play instruments? The ghosts aren't instruments themselves, so that doesn't make any sense. Like, doesn't make any sense to me. Anyway, Boyfriend also sounds absolutely goddamn incredible in this song. His synchronous with player isn't quite as good as it was in Broken Reality, but it's still really utilized well in this song. I think that works very well, not only Pico, but also Tankman himself. Speaking of Pico, he jumps in about halfway through the song, and the song goes from amazing to absolute pop-off fuel the entire way through. Yeah, he's on the song for a couple turns, but that's all he needed. He sounds so damn good whenever he sings. Melodies and instrumental, there's like 2 Undertale motifs, and that being Megalovania and the World Beneath. This song is the exact opposite of You Are when it comes down to motifs. That song had like 17. This has 2. And even without the motifs, it still sounds absolutely goddamn incredible throughout the entire way through. It feels like a new day is dawning. A new day filled with violence, genocide, and bloodlust, with only 3 people alive left in the world. The wounded soldier, the psychopathic maniac, and the one who never wanted to cause all this in the first place but was forced down this route. And it really hits you in the heartstrings. Only one of them is gonna die, and we all know who it's gonna be throughout the song, but we're still gonna cheer for Tankman the entire way through. Like, everything about the uprising is peak. Everything about it is beauty. Everything about it is perfect. Infinite tier. And like, this is never gonna go away from Infinite tier. I adore the uprising with every fiber of my being, and I understand why AdMac has the song ranked so high, because it is just that damn good of a song, and I love it for that.
That's it. I'm putting an end to all of this.
You are. This is, unfortunately, still my least favorite of the 3 finale songs, but I will admit that over time, I have grown on You Are a lot more. To the fact that I don't really think this song has any more problems going for it at all. In fact, looking back at my old entry, I realized, wow, those were some really, really stupid reasons why to not like You Are. And I want to say, first off, I want to apologize. That was a horrible entry on my part. Let's be fair, so were a lot of those entries back then. Those were all pretty bad takes. But anyway, You Are. Yeah, this song is really, really damn good the entire way through. So I'm going to break this down phase by phase. Starting off with phase 1, with Player and Boyfriend. As I've said in the past, Player's voice is basically just Boyfriend but in a different pitch, and I think it actually works very well, because you have to remember, Frisk never actually spoke in Undertale, so now they've possessed a new body, it makes sense they now have taken over Boyfriend's voice, but in a different pitch, and I think that works very well. And the instrumental definitely has a bit of a unnatural vibe to it that I think works very well. The melodies in this first phase, I don't think there's anything to write home about. They're pretty good for the most part, but nothing that really stands out. We're doing just trying to fight over control, and I think that works very well before we get into the next phase of the song. Then we jump right into a blast from the past. That's right, boys and girls, Papyrus is back and he is ready to pop off. I was way too mean to his section last time. This is a lot better than I gave it credit for. Seriously, I really like how Papyrus's voice sounds. Phantom or alive? His live chromatic I slightly prefer. Mostly I feel like it still just sounds like he's going to do everything he can to capture the human, but also try and be their friend at the same time. While the Phantom voice is trying to remind Player of every bad thing that they've ever done. They were the ones who killed everyone in the underground. They were the ones that forced Sans down this path of genocide. And I love it for that. The instrumental feels a little bit hollow and empty in the first half, but I can understand why, because this is just a memory after all, so it makes sense that it's a little bit hollow. But it does kick right back up when Phantom Papyrus shows up. And I gotta say, Papyrus and Player have some really, really damn good chemistry in this phase. Also, I gotta say, I love that Player looks so much like Boyfriend this part. That looks really, really cool. Again, art of my ranking, but you have to admit, that looks stellar. We'll get right back into Player and Boyfriend as little hearts and souls appear right around. Every time that they've died in past routes. And I feel like this part of the song just really pops off. Player and Boyfriend have really good synergy here. It's basically a constant duet between them for like a good solid, what is that, half a minute before we get back into what I like to call the trip down memory lane. I feel like Player is trying to remind Boyfriend of all the good they maybe could have done, but Boyfriend knows this will never happen. Player is committed on mass genocide at this point, and that's never going to change. And I just gotta say it, I really, really like the freedom motif of this song. Speaking of motifs and references, UR has over 15. No other song in the OSC comes anywhere close to UR's. And I gotta say, every reference in the song, every motif is captured beautifully, and all clashes perfectly in the song. Nothing feels out of place, nothing feels wrong. It all just is so nice to hear as the end card appears. And you think, oh, here we go again. They're just gonna reset the timeline. Overthrow is danger one more time. But no. As the instrumental slows down, the reset button is about to be hit again. a Gaster Blast shot is heard. The reset button is knocked away from them, and that familiar Megalovania vibe comes right back in. Sans has finally found Player, and this is where playtime officially ends. He removes his hood, gives the iconic smile. As Player raises the knife, Sans drops the iconic line of "Bring it," was absolutely incredible pop-off hits. This still hits to this day. I love how Player and Boyfriend play each other. Everything about this phase is perfect. The instrumental is intense. The melodies are intense. Player and Sans have really good chemistry. Everything about this finale is perfect. I adore it to pieces. Even the end where everything feels like it's all meshed together with a bunch of different voices still sounds really, really incredible. Because they all pair together so well. God, I really, really enjoy You Are. S tier. And although it's my least favorite of the finale week, it is still an amazing song that I love to come back to on re-listen. And it is just that good. After months and months and months of hating this song, I have finally clicked with Homicide V2. And while I still don't think the song is anywhere as good as the original, I can definitely say that I really like this version, even though it still has a few small problems going for, which I'll address later. But let's run through some positives first. For one, I really like how Papyrus sounds in the song. This is one of my favorite Papyrus usages in the entire mod, right here. He sounds like he is just ready to put an end to his brother, no matter what happens. And I think that works very well. The melodies in this song are also still an absolute banger. They were barely changed up at all from the original, and that was my favorite part of the original as well, the banging melodies. So I'm really glad for the most part they incorporated them really well into V2. Same with the instrumental. definitely has a bit of a haunting feeling to it, but it can stay a bit cheerful at times, mostly when it comes down to the flashback section, which probably is my least favorite section of the entire song, because I think both the chromatics are kind of at their weakest. I think the pirate ship's a little bit bored here, and Sans' voice isn't great. Yeah, I need to talk about this. I still don't care for how Sans sounds. I think he's tolerable now these days, but he does sound like he's droning on a lot at parts. And it doesn't really feel like a Sans voice to me for the most part. Like, it definitely has the elements of it every now and then. It's not like it's a terrible chromatic, it just doesn't really remind me of Sans all that much, and I don't really vibe with it a lot. Like, again, it has some pretty decent parts every now and then, but for the most part, I'm more focused on Papyrus than I am on Sans. After the flashback section is over, we're right back into the melodies from earlier, which I gotta say, I absolutely fuck with these melodies. Especially when it comes down to the sensational battle theme they play out a few times in this song. I think that sounds really, really good. It's probably one of my favorite parts of the song, not gonna lie. And so is the reanimation reference they use every now and then. But I think my favorite part of Homicide has to come down to the duet section. I just never really hate it all that much. I think the voices just kind of blend with each other way too much, and they just sounded messy and just sloppy. But nowadays, I really don't mind. It actually sounds really good. Pirates and Sans have some incredible chemistry in the song. Like, it's not perfect or anything, but it definitely is an incredible section. Before we get into the ending section. Okay, on its own, I think the ending section is actually pretty nice. It starts off with the fine enough pixel section. I really don't like how Sans sounds a section. Sans in this chromatic doesn't work with pixel at all. It gets very high pitched at times, and I don't like that. But after that, the section becomes really good. What doesn't really sound like Phantom-y to me, I think he still sounds alright for the most part, and the backing of his brother is handled very nicely in this song. The two have very good correlation, especially in this part right here. This part, that works. That's really good sounding. I don't think it fits Homicide fully, it still sounds good, so I'm willing to excuse it a little bit even though I don't love it. So yeah, Homicide's an A tier. I finally grew on it. You happy now? even though Homicide got a massive jump up in its tiers, Thermal Shock hasn't really moved from its position at all. Like, I don't think the song has gotten worse or anything. No, but I think it's gotten a little bit better. It's just that it's got some really stiff competition going against it. But even with that, I still really fuck with Thermal Shock. This is one of the most popular songs in the OST for a reason. Like, everything about this song is genuinely perfect. For starters, I love this instrumental so much. It feels like a mixture of Avulsion and Broken Reality mixed in with a bit of the core motifs from Undertale, and I really like that. Kara's chromatic is also just still top 10 FNF chromatics for me. I love how just smooth it sounds, but also sickening at the exact same time. It's like sickeningly sweet, and I love that. And the Dust Trust Papyrus motif is also quite nice to hear. I didn't recognize it at first, but when I did recognize it, I really found myself liking it. And the reference back to Homicide is also really nice, especially with the sensational battle like they did back in Homicide, which is really nice to hear. And it gives off a chilling tone because everyone's gone, but only one still remains. The phantom of the brother that he himself killed is still fighting by his side, and oh my dear god, this electro swing vibe pops off. And you know what's crazy? When I first heard the song, I knew it was a reference to something, but I couldn't put my finger on what. And for some reason I realized, wait a minute, that's Wolf in Sheep's clothing! Oh my god, I love Wolf in Sheep's clothing so goddamn much. That is such an incredible reference and incredible motif to put in this song, because it perfectly fits a genocide route Undertale, and I think it works incredibly well. And Phantom Sans sounds absolutely goddamn incredible. Seriously, he sounds like he just is so hollow and emotionless, but he also is fighting for his brother at the exact same time, and I just love that. Speaking of which, how have I not talked about Papyrus's chromatic yet? That shit rocks. He's the best user in the entire mod right here. He just sounds like he's tired of everything at this point. He's ready to put an end to this whole mess. This whole genocide mess. Once and for all. As the core motif pulls stuff right back up. And oh my god. This pop-off is incredible. The Antrovo Strikes Back reference. Everything about this phase is perfect. The falling atmosphere, the danger tone, the two chromatics, the instrumental, the melodies, everything about this last phase is perfect. Like, I cannot stress it enough. Infinite tier. This song is just perfect in everything that it does. I love it to pieces. You cannot get more perfect when it comes down to the top 3 of Dustin. That being Perseverance, Avulsion, and of course, Thermal Shock.
Correction, I sit on a throne that lies.
Overthrown is probably the one song of the OST that hasn't really budged from its position of where it was last time. Like, yeah, it was S tier for a short while, but then it kinda drops back down to A tier for reasons that I'll explain later. But for the most part, I think this song is actually really, really good. Whatever like a boyfriend sounds in the song. It's nothing exceptional or anything, but it's utilized quite nicely in the song, and it pairs very well with the instrumental and Santa's voice. Speaking of Santa's voice, I still don't love how deep... I don't love how deep Dustfell's Santa's voice still is, but I've gotten more used to it, and it does still definitely remind me a lot of a Sans voice, so I can overlook the deepness factor a little bit. The instrumental is actually quite nice. Cameras do think this instrumental was kind of generic in the past. It's nowhere near generic. It pops off the entire way through and definitely has the elements of a rock vibe, while also mixing in a bit of an Undertale theme to it, which I think works very nice for a Dustfell theme. And Dustfell, in my opinion, is supposed to be the most edgiest and darkest of the Undertale mods, to my knowledge. I think it's actually really, really cool. The melodies, for the most part, are, for the most part, really good. Nothing really stands out to me, and there's not a ton of references in there, but there are a couple in there scattered in there, which I think work very nicely in the song. Before, of course, the big section of Overthrown comes in. The chorus, with every soul that Sans has murdered in the underground. And you gotta say, this section looks absolutely badass. Harder than the ranking, it never has. But this looks cool. And I love how all the ghosts sound. I love the choir feeling they give out. All their voices work in perfect harmony before Santa swears at boy for some reason and Asgore starts slamming his trident down on the ground. So the entire world is falling apart around them. But even with that, they're still gonna keep on singing. Okay, I guess I have one small issue with this song that I need to address. It can feel a little repetitive at times. Not melody-wise, just more in fact, it just can get a little bit... I don't know, it's hard to explain. The song is a little bit too repetitive. It's not the song's length issues. I think 4 was actually a perfect length for Overthrown, so most Dustin songs are over 3 minutes, or 4 depending on some of the songs. And I just gotta say it. My favorite part of the song easily comes in when Dustfell GF jumps in. I'm blanking on her name right now, but I gotta say, I love her chromatic so much. It reminds me a lot of a Papyrus voice in a way, if that makes sense. And I love that she just goes on her own pace, while both Sans and Boyfriend keep going. Like, all 3 of them are just trying to hold on to any last bit of chance they have before the entire world around them collapses. Yeah, I really like Overthrown. A tier. It's not perfect or anything, but it does still absolutely pop off.
Can we go now? We have wasted a lot of time. And why did you put Undyne's dust in a jar?
Undyne was my friend.
During the last few months of my high school years, where the filthy AI school computers blocked almost all of my music, I was kind of forced to listen to Haunted as my only Dustin song for like 4 months when I was at school. And I gotta say it, those 4 months of only listening to Haunted for the most part really made me grow on the song a lot more. In fact, I don't have any issues with this song now that I think about it in this day and age. It's only positivity, and the first positive comes down to Papyrus's chromatic. I adore how it sounds, down to the last note that it hits, because it definitely has the elements of a Papyrus voice, sounding all jokingly and fun, but also makes more of a serious tone at the exact same time. a lot more serious than it felt like was going on in Dust Swap, and you have to understand why, because Papyrus was just thrown into the situation. He accidentally killed his own brother, and now he's gained all the knowledge that Sans had. He knows it's up to him now to kill the human. And by doing this, it means slaughtering anyone in his way. The instrumental in the song is also fucking incredible. I love the waterfall thing that gives out. And also just the somber, saddened feeling it gives out. It's beautiful. Haunted has top 5 instrumentals of the mod for me. That's right, this is better than some of my Infinite Tears. That's how good Haunted's instrumental is. And I gotta say it, the Bone Trousel and Battle Against a True Hero motif is really nice here in the first half. Although I do think they use the Bone Trousel motif a little bit too much in this mod, but it's not like it's in every song, so I can live with it. And then comes the part where a lot of people noticed I had issues with last time. Phantom or Hallucination, Sans' section. Now, while I still don't adore this section's first part, mostly I'm still not the biggest fan of the hold notes, I will admit they do kind of remind me of Perseverance's hold notes a little bit, so they have grown on me quite a bit, and I think the chemistry between him and his brother, I think, is pretty alright. And the instrumental in this section is probably at one, if not the best part in the entire song. Seriously, I fuck with Haunted's instrumental, and this is probably the best usage of it in the entire song. Before the iconic voice line from Papyrus comes in as weak as you think, and the hidden chuckle from Sans, before Sans really pops off with his brother joining in shortly after, where the two of them duet in a really good melody. Seriously, these two have such good chemistry, and I adore it. And Boyfriend is standing over here just singing his own tunes, just vibing with the beats, while Sans says the final turn of this phase, as Sans waves at Boyfriend's shown scared, before Papyrus just punches him in the face, because apparently Papyrus can just do that now, which I find that just overall funny to see. But yeah, now Boyfriend is scared. He understands now that Papyrus is now a real threat. He knows to bide his time and stay in the shadows, as both Sans and Papyrus sing out to him saying that they have won this match. They have defeated the human right now. Well, they haven't killed Boyfriend yet. They will soon. As the instrumental just becomes absolutely incredible in this section. Not quite as good as it was earlier, but still sounds really good. Before the melodies from earlier come right back in, mixing in really well with the instrumental's waterfall feeling, which, you've got to be honest, I was AdMac's favorite section. The intro melody was already incredible, and Sans backing it up sounds even better. And with the boosted instrumental, yeah, Haunted is just a really good song. S tier, a lot better than I gave it credit for last time.
I'm not as weak as you think.
Bone Extravaganza is still an absolutely peak song, and this song is absolutely incredible, and everything in the song isn't incredible. I'm gonna take her to the house and blast her head off with the bazooka. Okay, all jokes aside, I'm not blasting myself with a bazooka, but still, this song is still fucking absolutely catchy as all hell. Basically, everything that I restated in my original video still holds up to the exact same degree, but it's only gotten better. For one, I fucking adore how Papyrus sounds in the song. His voice is so powerful and energetic and happy, and I adore it. Easily mentions this chromatic right here in the entire mod, and it's not even really much of a question at all. This sounds absolutely perfect. The instrumental is also fucking incredible. I love me a good rock concert vibe, and Bone Extravaganza handles that feeling perfectly the entire way through for the most part. The melodies are absolutely perfect. I love me some good rock melodies, and they're so well in with Boyfriend and Papyrus. Speaking of Boyfriend, chromatic is really good in this song. Nothing to write home about, it's not like the first best Boyfriend music of all time, but it's still really good. And then the echoes in his voice at times can work very nicely. And then we move on to the next phase of the song with the late encore jumping in. The dead skeleton brother, with this still funny-ass dialogue. I'm sorry, Papyrus, Sans was busy being dead, so he was a little bit late. But of course, Papyrus doesn't care. He wants to be alive on stage, while Sans just doesn't give it. I'm sorry for this section, it's just way too funny. And the instrumental pops off so much in this section before Sans just starts singing. And I know Sans doesn't sing a lot, but that actually makes perfect sense. Because remember, Sans doesn't really like attention. He first let his brother take the spotlight, so having him have less turns in this section over his brother makes actually perfect sense. And I kind of say, or defense ranking at all, but I really like the little microphone that's on Sans's mouth. I think it looks really cool, and so does when he just pulls out his guitar. Anyway, the whole note section of this phase is also really good on both Papyrus and Boyfriend's side. The instrumental calms down a little bit, lets him have full use of the vocals. Everything about Bone Extravaganza is perfect. Every little minute detail about this song is incredible. But you have to remember, the song isn't really there. It's all Papyrus's head. Even though it's still everything that he's learned from the human, from his brother, and most importantly, his mentor, as she shows up on the screen. Why does Undyne only have less of a minute to sing? That is absolutely criminal. Can we get a little bit longer? I understand, the song is almost 6 minutes, but it's a little bit longer turn. That would make the song just absolutely the best song in this OST, not even a question. It's a little bit more of Undyne's section. Her voice sounds absolutely incredible, a little echoey, but not bad in slight, especially that sounds really good. The hardcore rock has been ditched for more of a electro rock swing vibe, and I really like that kind of style when it comes down to FNF. Rock and swing, don't mind if I do. That works very well on Boyfriend. For the weeks in the entire song right here, but he does still sound really good. His voice just has a little bit less of an echo than in the other phase, which I understand why, but it's a teeny bit of disappointment before one last dialogue section comes in. A guitar is chucked at Boyfriend, the pirates declaring a special attack, while everyone's cheering, and this guitar pop-off sounds really damn good. I love guitar pop-offs. It wasn't a little bit weak, because then everything is backing it up fully. It still sounds, just sounds absolutely incredible. This song is absolutely incredible. Infinite tier. I adore it to pieces. And even then, it's still not top 3 of the mod. That's how good the remaining top 3 in this OST was. For a song this incredible to not quite reach it.
You're late again, Sans!
Sorry, bro. Being dead takes a lot of time.
Sans! There's no time for jokes!
yeah. And I'm alive.
Come on! Whatever. Let's please the audience with the best performance, shall we?
Whatever you say, bro. This isn't even canon in the slightest, but it's amazing.
Oh boy. Red screen. This definitely is, this is a drop off already. I used to really like red screen, but now I don't know. I'm conflicted on red screen. Like, on one hand, I like it, but on the other hand, I'm not gonna lie and say it doesn't have a lot of issues going for it. But this has some good things going for it, I'm gonna address right now. For one, I fuck with this instrumental. I love me some good electro swing when it comes to instrumental. Like, that's one of my favorite things when it comes to instrumentals. Swing and electro. It's a really good combination for an instrumental, and I think it works very well throughout the entire song. And even when it isn't swing electro, it still is pretty good in the ending half of the song. The melodies, I guess, are pretty good in quite a few parts. I like a lot of melodies, especially the Rose's motif. That's a really nice motif to hear. And yeah, that's kind of it for positives. Now I've got quite a few negatives to go through, and let's start off with Kara. I do not like how she sounds in this song. She sounds very just bored and dull, and I understand why she sounds like, just don't understand why Kara sounds like, just doesn't mean I have to like it. And then there's her brother. Asriel does not sound great either when he's possessing Kara. He sounds really deep and dull, and I don't like that combination of vocals mixed in. Spirit on his own is not great either. I think he's a little bit too scratchy at times. It's even worse when he's going with Senpai. Senpai's voice on his own, I think, is also... I think it's actually quite nice. I prefer Senpai's voice probably the most out of the 4 voices in the song. Like, it's not perfect or anything, but I still think it's utilized well. Like, it's a little bit deep in some parts, but I understand more of a higher pitched voice like the original Senpai's chromatic is, and I do like the Thorns motif that plays out in this section. The problem is, it's kind of where I lose enjoyment of the song right after that, because nothing else out of Thorns motif is something I want to come back to, ever. And the song just kind of loses all interest in me after that part plays. I'm just in the next, like, minute or so just being bored out of my skull. Like, I like Red Screen, don't get me wrong, but it just has so many issues in the chromatics, and it's quite familiar just sounding really bleh at times. Very, very low D tier. I'm sorry. I give you a like red screen, but for me, it just is not for me anymore. Inopia. This is a song that I don't have a ton of new stuff to add from last time, so this entry is probably gonna run by fast. And I have a lot of good things to say about this song, so let's begin, shall we? For one, I just gotta say, I love the kind of wasteland feeling the song is giving out, which makes complete sense considering everyone in the underground at this point is basically starved and food deprived. I mean, look at Kevin and Sans. They are in no shape at all to be doing anything whatsoever. Yet, here they are having a rap battle. Huh, well, it's fun like that. Anyway, speaking of Sans, his chromatic is really, really good. His chromatic is feeling more like a hollow type of voice, which again, makes sense because look at the dude. He hasn't eaten in 7 years. So it makes sense his chromatic's a little bit hollow and deep. Kevin's voice still isn't great, although I have grown a little bit more used to it, and I now think it's a pretty alright boyfriend chromatic. I think it's a little bit too high-pitched still, but I think it works well. The melodies in the first half are all really enjoyable. They're slow, haunting, and they just work really well for the feeling that Inopia gives out. Stay with the instrumental. Slow, haunting, disturbing, before the other brother shows up, holding a plate of spaghetti, who called in the Mario Brothers. Oh well. Papyrus jumps in, and his chromatic is something I've actually grown a lot onto. I just not really like how scratchy it was, but now I actually don't mind it whatsoever. I think it actually really works for Papyrus' voice in this situation, because, again, look at him. You think he can sound normal? No way, no how. The instrumental and the melodies both take a complete 180, turning really fast-paced and energetic. I think fits Papyrus really well. Have a similar energy back to how Kenny Morto was, but again in a more twisted way, which I think works very well for his iconic "Sans, what are you doing with that blind?" I think just really funny, not gonna lie. I think just taking a nap, Papyrus woke him up from his nap, like, let your brother sleep for crying out loud, Papyrus. He's hungry. He wants to sleep. Oh well. Anyway, after that, the red screen section comes in. This part sends shivers up my spine. The melodies become genuinely chilling, so do the instrumental, and so do both of Sans and Papyrus' chromatic. Everything about this last half of the song is just chilling and disturbing, before it kicks right back into that intense beat mode, but still creepy as all hell. And I love that. I love Inopia. S tier. I don't know what I was thinking putting it so low last time. This is an amazing song. Quite a bit of what I already said in Inopia can relay back into Inopia's spooky mix. But unlike Thermal Shock GF mix, that basically was just a cover and the instrumental and melodies got like no change whatsoever. Inopia's spooky mix got a change in everything in a little bit. Well, definitely did keep a bit of the groundwork from Inopia, so let's go over that real quick. For one, I really like the melodies in this song. I don't fully adore the Spooky Kids melodies as much as I did Kevin's melodies back then, but they still sound really good. They're nice and bouncy and cheerful, bring the Spooky Kids down to a T, and Sans has his old melodies from Inopia, so I don't really need to rehash those melodies anymore. They're haunting, they're chill, and they still sound really good. Skin Pump both sound really good, although I do think they can be a little bit low-pitched at times, and I don't fully love that. Well, it's more of a pump issue than it is a Skid issue, because when Skid is singing, it's a bit high-pitched. I think it fits Skid really well. Sans is a little bit deeper than he was in the original, but I think actually fits the more haunting element more, and I think I actually slightly prefer more than the original Nopia, so that's a big plus right there. The instrumental still is haunting in a way, but it's now got more of a playful Halloween vibe in a way, which I don't think fits quite as well as it did in the original Nopia, but it still sounds really good in this case. And then Papyrus jumps in, with as less lack of "is that a human?" because he thinks Skin Pump actually are monsters, which makes sense for their Halloween costumes. Although, I don't love Papyrus's voice in the song. It's pretty much the exact same, but just like Sans, it's slightly deeper, but unlike Sans, I think it's more of a detriment because I don't fully feel like it works the best for the starved feeling they're supposed to be feeling, and it kind of ruins one of his sections that don't have the same oomph to it, which kind of sucks. Speaking of the later section, the red screen section is still absolutely disturbing. Mizuki just sounds so happy that it's happening, while both Sans and Papyrus sound absolutely terrifying, although I still don't love how Papyrus sounds in this section. Like, he's definitely good, but it's such a disappointment from what it was back in the original Nopia, before the pop-off, which sounds even better than it did in the original, considering it's pretty much the same instrumental and melodies for the most part, and this both chromatic sounding better on Sans in Spooky's section. I guess Papyrus sounds alright. His voice isn't all that much better than what it was in the original, but you know what? It's still utilized well enough, and I like it. Like, yeah, I like Nopia quite a bit. S tier. I think it's slightly weaker than the original Nopia, but only by a little bit, and I still do really, really like this song.
It is on like Donkey Kong!
YOLO is still an absolutely fucking banger of a song throughout the entire runtime. I get why people don't like YOLO. I do, but for me, no. This song clicks like a button. There is just so much love in the song. Starting off with Bartholomew, or B3's boyfriend. I just gotta say it. This might just be my favorite boyfriend chromatic of all time. I love the clickiness of it and how, like, funky it sounds. Like, it works so well for a boyfriend chromatic. And then there's Fresh. Fresh definitely reminds me a ton of a Sans chromatic, but have a lot more of a funk vibe to it, more of a disco feeling. I really like how it's utilized, and it pairs incredibly well with Boyfriend's chromatic. The instrumental, for the most part, is definitely a lot of jazz swing in a way, and I just gotta say it. I love swing. I know I've said it before, but swing is one of my favorite types of FNF beats, and I think YOLO does it probably one of the best of all FNF songs. Even the slower parts of the song, where the swing is lowered quite a bit, still sounds really good because the intense parts work very well in place of this lack of the swing melodies. Only going instances where Boyfriend probably sounds at the weakest of the song, because the track wasn't made to go this slow, in my opinion. But once it kicks right back up, oh my god. Both Fresh and Boyfriend just absolutely pop off, as Fresh's eyes look like a parasite, which I gotta say, that is a really, really cool design. Before, oh my dear god, this absolutely incredible pop-up just throws its way in, and it's everything in the song turns into absolute dance vibes. I am dancing in my seat right now as I'm recording Country. This song is so damn incredible. I love every little minute detail about this song. T tier, easily. It could be infinite if I did the middle section were just a tiny bit weaker than everything else in the song, but still, YOLO is an incredible song. I'm tired of the hate the song gets. Again, it's justified, but I'm just a little bit tired of it.
Hey Mario, do you want to make some pasta? That sounds delicious. What type of pasta is it?
I don't know how the Dustin team was able to make this much of an incredible song based off 2 little funny joke memes, but oh, they delivered with Genocides. Genocides is my favorite joke song of all time, Time for a Century, and I don't think that's ever gonna change because this song is just a banger through and through. I adore everything about this song. Start with the tone. It feels like you're in a court with Frisk being the person who's guilty and Sans being the judge and jury saying, "Oh no kid, no more genocide for you. I'm gonna put you away now, you're not gonna do anything about it." And like Frisk's like, "Okay bro." Speaking of Sans, his chromatic is for the most part just as indie cross chromatic, but heavily pixelated, but I actually really like that. Consider the fact that it's indie cross chromatic is really what got me into enjoying Sans chromatic in the first place. So, no complaints here. Frisk's voice is pretty good. Without not having a voice in Undertale at all, only making like those sound effects, I think it was captured really well into a chromatic. It's high-pitched, it's scared, and it makes perfect sense for a Frisk voice. The instrumental is really good. You feel the entire world around you slowly being set on fire, which makes sense for what's going to happen later on in the song. And I don't like the melodies. Although they use a little bit too much of Megalovania, but I understand why. It's supposed to be like a genocide route of sort, and I feel like Sans just running at Frisk right off the bat, trying to start it before Frisk starts killing people, which I think makes sense. Before Frisk blows up and Papyrus.exe jumps in. Why is he called that? Like, genuinely, this is a cool name than Papyrus.exe. Oh well. Anyway, the first turn is pretty alright before everything gets set on fire and the melodies become absolutely fucking peak. Everything about the melodies pop up. Sans and Pirates have such good chemistry. There isn't a ton of wrestling in this phase, but I don't really mind that now because all the rest are mostly thrown in the first phase, but they still sound absolutely fucking incredible. I adore his melodies. Sans sounds so scary, probably like just ready to end everything once and for all. The HLoArTS gets someone even more fire. Like, everything about Genocides is incredible. I love every minute detail of the song. And I don't even talk about it yet, because after the Sans, but just to hear its cry, the melodies turn to absolutely 11. They get even better. Pirates get so unbelievably fast. The HLoArTS kicks up to like 15. Everything about the song turns absolutely peak. T-tier. Almost infinite. But it just didn't quite have the push to make it to infinite tier, which sucks. But even then, I still adore this song.
At least there's nothing left in the house for them to destroy.
Uncreate to me is just a hidden gemstone, because a lot of people that I see really don't like Uncreate, or just have it in the bottom like 5 of their tier lists. And you know what? I can understand that, but for me, Uncreate is just an incredible song throughout the entire 3-minute runtime. The entire song feels like a battle between something like, I don't know, heaven and hell. One side a protector, but one side a destroyer. And I think that works very well in every aspect of this song. Start off with, the melodies are very back and forth. I feel like near someone stuff the other have the last word. They want to keep on going with this argument constantly, forever, which makes sense considering Air is one who destroys the AUs, while Ink is the one that protects AUs. I think that works very well. Speaking of Ink and Air, their chromatics are just absolutely incredible. Errors, for the most part, is pretty similar to Dusttail Sans with an effect attitude, and I think that works very well in this song, considering the fact that this is basically Dusttail Sans, but he just absorbed a bunch of determination. And Ink's chromatic is also very good. It feels like a mixture of Sans and Papyrus's chromatic, mixed with a bit of a feminine voice to it, which makes sense because it's supposed to be a protector of AUs, and I really like that. The instrumental is also an absolute banger the entire way through. It feels like there's a constant war going on. The only time it doesn't feel like that way is in the slow down section, which I think it's probably the weakest section of the song, but it does still sound really good. Although the instrumental does get a little bit weaker, it doesn't have quite the same energy it did in the earlier halves, and I wish there was more, like, duet action here, but there isn't, and that's a shame. But after that, this song goes absolutely right back into the intenseness that it was in the earlier sections, and it just pops off for the rest of the way through. Like, everything about Uncreate is like an absolute banger. I love it to pieces, which is why I'm not scared to say this. T tier. Yes, this is in my 3 T tiers of the mod. I love Uncreate where so many just don't. And I will never stop loving this song.
Oh no!
Similar to Heatwave and Red Screen, Psychopath has had a little bit of a drop off for me in how much I enjoy the song. Like, I still like the song, don't get me wrong, but at the same time, I definitely don't love it as much as I used to. I still like almost every aspect of this song. There's quite a bit of enjoyment in this song, but a lot of stuff for me has also just dropped down as well. With a lot of good things, let's start with those. For one, I realize it's instrumental. I feel like you're being chased by a predator in the middle of the night, and I really like that thing that gives that. So it consists throughout most of the song. I think that works very well for the Something New universe. Killer Sins' chromatic is, for the most part, pretty good. It kind of has the same strengths and weaknesses as Dustfell Sans' voice, where it can be a little too deep, but not too the fact that I can overly don't like it, just the fact that I think it's a little bit weak at times. Girlfriend's voice, I think, is pretty alright. I've heard worse, but I've heard better, and I think this one is utilized very well. She's actually a young child just walking something she never should have stumbled on. I think that works very well in this situation. The melodies in the first half, for the most part, are all pretty alright for the most part. Nothing that mostly stands out for me except the opening phase, but I think that works. Everything else is pretty much alright for the most part. Then we get into phase 2. The instrumental turns up to 10. The melodies become absolutely incredible in the first little bit. They sound so powerful, like Sandra's ready to put an end to this. Once if I was gonna kill girlfriend again, then reset, then kill him again. Like, that works so well. It shows like that Sandra's been driven into insanity at this point, and the back and forth is so good. In AdMax's words, this phase, the intro part of it, is epic. Unfortunately, now we need to talk about a little issue with this song. So, you know, probably I've been noticing, I've been saying the first half of these phases are really good, with the melodies. Yeah, I gotta say it. Psychopath has a lot of just melodies that I do not find very interesting at all. Like, besides Kara's section, the ending melodies, the beginning phase, and a couple melodies in the first half of second phase, like, there's not much I really care for. They're fine enough melodies, but I just don't really think they're as good as the rest of the melodies, and they just feel a little disappointing to me in a way. And that is kind of what's keeping Psychopath in a beat here, because there's a lot of things about the song I like. Like, Kara's section is still really good. I love how she just, like, jumps in out of nowhere and starts singing this, like, sick little smile she's in. Her voice is alright, nothing stellar. Like, it's not the worst Kara uses in the entire mod. That easily goes to Red Screen. But it doesn't sound the absolute best. Where then Pop-Off happens again. This is a really good melody. You're saying the rest of the song can't have these good of melodies, which I'm only putting the song in a B tier, not anything higher.
I don't remember asking you. You're gonna die.
Bargain. Okay. This has, definitely dropped a couple placements since the original video. Yeah, I don't really click with Bargain as well as I used to. I still really like the song, don't get me wrong, but at the same time, it doesn't quite hit as hard. Let's run through my analysis of the song, starting off with Chris's chromatic, not Kara's chromatic, Chris's chromatic. So, I don't really care how Chris sounds anymore. Their voice is a little bit dull, and just overall one of the weaker chromatics in the mod. Well, it's not my least favorite chromatic at all, but I definitely say it's bottom 5 chromatics in the mod. Sans sounds pretty good. It's definitely his weakest in the entire mod when it comes down to his normal chromatic, which isn't a ton of songs, but it's enough that it's definitely the weakest usage. It sounds pretty alright for the most part. Nothing really more to say about that. The instrumental in the first bit is pretty chill and just laid back, focusing on a shopping mall, which makes sense. And I guess to the same extent, the melodies have that exact same way. They both feel a bit chill and nice and calm, with nice calming Undertale melodies that sometimes they throw out, before the whoopee cushion trick comes right back in, and Megalovania appears. And how many times is Megalovania gonna appear in this mod? This is a lot of times, not gonna lie. I can understand why, but this is a little ridiculous. Maybe this part absolutely pops off, even though it's just a Megalovania motif, before Sans pulls out the trumpet and Chris starts beatboxing. This is one of my favorite part. This puts a good chuckle on my face every time I hear it. Like, this song is still really good, but I don't feel the same way that I once did about it. A tier.
I am going to end this once and for all.
We need to go.
And here it is, the final song in Friday Night Dustin's OST. And the song that has had the biggest fall off for me in the entire OST. Because much as I like Vindication still, it does unfortunately have a few slight issues going for it that I just can't overlook anymore. But before we get to those issues, I got some positive to say about this song, because I have quite a few good things I don't still like about the song. For one, I still really like how Dust sounds. It sounds like a distorted version of Dusttail sounds, which makes sense considering this basically is just Dusttail sounds, but just the monstrous version that kept all his level and experience from a previous reset. And he just kept doing it over and over again. Now he just turned into an absolutely insane psychopath. The melodies in the first bit are actually really nice, especially in the flashback section. I really like the flashback section's melodies. It's still my favorite part of the entire song, especially with this reference back to the original Friday Night Dusttail, with a song that I still can't pronounce the stupid name of without stumbling over my words. I'll try and say it again later, but yeah, I really like that reference right there. Having Dusttail stand up his old voice is really nice, and having Boyfriend lose his reverb also I think works very well, since in the past there wasn't a ton of Boyfriend reverb back then. So I think it works very nicely. Before we jump right back into what the song was prior, and this is my first little issue with the song. Look, I'm sorry, but this song just feels like it's using Red Megalovania and Megalovania a little bit too much in the song, and it really annoys me at times. Although they do use a pretty nice motif back to It's Raining Somewhere Else, but his hate didn't let him go. I think there was some really good references. And you know what, the song kept going with those references. Maybe it would be a lot higher up my list if it wasn't for the next issue showing up. Why? No one invited you here, Thero. No one invited you and your off-key ass, because yes, this clown sounds like he's off-key, which wouldn't be the worst thing in the world if he also didn't sound distorted as all hell. Just what I want from a chromatic. Off-key and distorted. Yippee-ki fucking yay. No. And we're right back into the red Megalovania and You see what song? And this song is just so repetitive with the exact same references over and over and over again. And Thero just is not pleasant to listen to at all. Thankfully, Boyfriend and Dust Dust still sound really good, and the instrumental absolutely slaps, and when the melodies aren't referencing Megalovania and Red Megalovania, they actually sound pretty good. So, yeah, a tier track, but I just don't care for it as much as I used to, which sucks. And with that, we are finally done with Friday Night Dustin re-rank / review. I gotta say it was a blessing coming back to this mod. I know I didn't do a great job last time, so that's why I came back to this, to rectify an old mistake, and I'm glad I did, because I'm really proud of how this re-review came out. I had a lot of fun going, and here's my tier list. Yeah, a few takes are pretty surprising, like Uncreate being that high up, but hey, they're my opinions. I explain myself pretty well, I feel like. And if you don't like them, that's okay. You don't have to like them. As long as I explain yourself well, that's all that matters. Now, with that out of the way, it's time for the season finale of this video. I won't give any spoilers if you haven't seen Rankfest, but let's just say I'm gonna have a hell of a time working on these mods. Yes, mods, plural. Anyway, see you all next time.